Life Vitality family.
Good morning.
Good morning. We are here to talk to you all about body image. Sunny is also live on our feed, so if you have any questions, if you write in, we will see it, so we can answer your questions all about body image and all the things that you might be dealing with right now. First of all, let's introduce ourselves. If you don't already know us, I'm Lauren Whiters. I am your nutrition and fitness expert over here. We have
Angela Grace Salyers, and I'm a licensed professional counselor. And I'm Sunny Lippincott, and I'm a certified professional life coach.
So you have kind of every aspect of body image here. We have the mind, body, and the soul. We have all of it, and all of that is a big part of how we see ourselves. We had someone write in a question before we even started today. So if we want to start with that.
Yeah, let's address the question first.
Let's address the question first. So the question that was written in, and these are anonymous. If you see this later and you have a question, feel free to send us a message. And if you want it to be private, you can send us a DM. If you want it to be public, you can just comment on this and we will absolutely get back to you. How to keep a positive idea of body when you've had a setback with weight loss. So
who wants to go first on that one?
So you've been doing really well. Maybe you felt like you're on a roll. Maybe you had some successes, and then you had a bad weekend, or a bad month, or a bad year, or you gained some weight back, or you had a breakup. I mean, it really can be anything. And I think what I'm saying right here is all of those things are not physical. They're all mental.
Yes. You're going to find a common theme with the three of us and what we do.
So much of it.
Much of it is mental.
Yeah.
So Lauren, do you want to start with like the health
side
of that?
Sure. Okay, so our bodies don't work instantaneously. It's not how we work. Everything in our bodies take time. So you eat something, it takes time to go through the process of breaking it down and using it as energy and potentially storing it for later. So this isn't like, oh my gosh, I had a bad meal and now I'm 5 pounds heavier. It doesn't work that way. So you can't undo all the good you've done with a super calorie dense latte, or by going to McDonald's and splurging on a crazy meal. I don't know why you want to, but you're not going to undo all the work you've done. Don't do it though. You're not going to undo all the work you've done by doing something like that. So physically, when you're looking at your body, the best thing you can do for yourself when you feel like you've had that setback and you're trying to deal with it is just to start making tiny baby steps to move forward again. So choose something that day that you can do that will leave you feeling better physically. So choose a meal that you feel like is light and helps your digestion work really well and will process through a little bit faster than something else. Maybe a salad or some fish and vegetables or something that will process faster. Go for a walk. Did you know that when you go for a walk, the actual physical motion of moving one foot in front of the other increases your digestion? It allows things to move properly. And if you are sedentary, if you're not moving, your digestion will not move. Right? You have to have that extra movement in order to make things go. And when I say make things go, I mean make things go. So if you haven't gone in a little bit, that can also make you feel a little more bloated in the middle, which can also feel like a setback. So just a really quick answer, do something today that can leave you feeling better, and then move forward from there.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's huge.
Yeah.
I think the worst thing that you can do when you've had a setback is truly take it out on yourself. That's not going to help in any way, shape, or form. And focus will go. Energy flows where your focus goes. So if you are just constantly focusing on the fact that you're getting down on yourself, what you're not doing, focusing on what I'm not doing. I don't look this way, or I'm not where I'm supposed to be, or I haven't done this. Mentally, that's where you're going to stay, just in that stagnant place. But instead, like Lauren said, doing something and then saying, I did this today. I did something for myself today. I made a good decision. That's huge. Not punishing yourself, saying, well, because I plateaued, I'm not going to eat lunch. I'm just going to skip this, or I'm going to have to hit the gym extra hard. Being very, very cautious of how you're speaking to yourself is huge in that place when you're feeling like you're in that stagnant state. It's just those little things, how you can change and say, what can I do for myself today? How can I make a healthy change? You know, how can I boost my mood? You know, taking a walk, and then saying, I'm so proud of myself that I took a walk. I took time for myself. You know, that's great. Those are little tiny steps, but they make a big difference and they can compound over time. So really paying attention that you're not getting down on yourself when you're feeling like you're in that kind of place where you've hit that wall. Instead, you know, changing the narrative in your life is huge.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Say it out loud.
Absolutely.
Say it out loud. Say that you're proud of yourself out loud. Let yourself actually hear the words come out of your mouth, because that makes it more real for you as well. Don't just think it. Write it down. Put it on your mirror.
You're hearing everything you say to yourself.
I wanted to add behaviorally, some of the things I recommend to some of my clients is to actually, if you do have a setback, I love how Sunny brought up the negative judgment. What you can do is work on that inner critic, silence the inner critic, but also in a way you can sort of reward yourself by doing a clean out. And you don't have to throw away everything in your kitchen, but just go pick 2 or 3 items that you know are typically not things that you would buy and are sort of making you feel like you've kind of gotten off track with your diet, and put them in the trash, or, you know, whatever, set them in an area you're not going to see them if other people in your house eat them, but basically move them to a place that you're not going to be triggered anymore to want to eat that or get off your diet plan, whatever that is that you've planned for yourself. The other thing I wanted to mention is also, as you are in a diet and your body is changing, a lot of times people don't take the time to look in the mirror, and I think there's a lot of value in looking at yourself in the mirror when you get out of the shower or bathtub, and just absorbing how your image looks now and the changes that your body's making, because sometimes people see themselves as they were before their diet. So as long as they're going along, the changes can happen sometimes abruptly, and so they still see their old self and not their new self. So it's really important to take that time just to look at yourself and look at your body, and then do the things Lauren and Sunny have recommended with positive talk. Take those baby steps. Reward yourself. Talk kindly to yourself in those moments as you're looking in the mirror.
And when you look in the mirror and see yourself as if you were seeing someone else. So you're not seeing yourself through the filter of your own ideas about yourself. So when you look in the mirror, picture your best friend, or your child, or a parent, or someone that you love, and think, if this was their body, what would I say about it? Because you're going to be so much nicer to somebody else than you were to yourself. And so much more aware of the positives.
Right.
You know, so it's not just nicer. It's not like you're saying it to be nice. You're saying it to be real. You're like, oh wow, I actually do notice that I look firmer or more toned, or look, my posture is nicer, I'm standing up straighter, I look like I've been taking care of myself, I look like I feel good, because I do. And then you'll feel even better.
So thank you for the question. I hope that helped. Again, I've got this, so if you have a question or a struggle or something that you are just, concerned about, let us know and we can answer it. Otherwise, we have a few questions here as well that we'll try to attack. What would you like to go first?
Let's start with number 3.
Number 3, friends and family play a role in shaping your beliefs about body image. Whether positively or negatively, small comments and actions sometimes send powerful messages even when they are unintentional. Think about the most important people in your life. What are their thoughts and feelings about body image? Have you internalized any of these messages? Friends and family. this is your inner circle, guys.
Anyone else triggered just by saying those words?
If you didn't have at least something pop into your head,
Right.
then you have just had a wonderful childhood in life.
Or you
because-
worked through it all.
Or you worked. Or
Good
you,
job
Or you're
for
a really
you.
hard worker,
If you
and
worked
well
through it
done.
all.
Well done. When I saw that, I told Lauren, I said it took me back because my family they've always been down about their skin, always. And so from a child, I have constantly heard, the older just talk negatively about their skin and, how their skin looks and how, they're not happy with their skin and how fast that they're aging and things like that. And it started programming me because I kind of accepted that, it just went right into my subconscious and I accepted that is my fate. That's my sentence, I'm going to have that. And so I became hyper aware of my skin at a very young age. And so it's just kind of stayed with me. And I told her I had a comment from someone and, just about the blemishes on my skin, and went right into me. Like that just became my identity. And I thought that's what everyone is seeing when they see me. They don't see Sunny. They're looking at my skin. They see my skin. And I don't know if that resonates with any of you, but it can be anything. How you look, what your stature is, whether you're too short or you're too tall. Or my mom has big hips, and so she's always talking about her hips. So I must have big hips. And you really start kind of just internalizing that, and that becomes your identity. So what happens then? What do you do when that has kind of become your identity? Who wants to take it?
Come on, Angie, you know.
Okay. Sometimes, though, and I want to say when people tell themselves stuff, with clients, I like to ask, is this a voice that is from someone else you've heard? Does this voice belong to you? Because sometimes we have sentences that we say to ourselves that aren't even necessarily sentences that I created about my beliefs about food, dieting, or my body. They're actually sentences I've heard from a college roommate or someone in my family or an old cheerleading coach, So these are things I've heard along the way that I've picked up and I've programmed and have become part of my belief system and maybe even my values. So, and some of the messages are positive, though I also have to look at which of those aren't so positive. And I like to, when I have a thought like that, sort of scale back and say, where was the first time I heard that? And who, and where was I? And then how did that kind of impact me and change my beliefs? So, just taking a look at once again, the inner thoughts about body image. And also, sometimes these are not thoughts that you even know the people, it's media. And I recommend, I hear so much these days, especially the adolescents and young adults, a lot of better than, less than, and looking on social media and different places where they're comparing their body to other people's bodies. And so, is this even something that you've gotten from social media or somewhere out in the public that really doesn't belong to you, but you've just sort of inherited it? So just, and how to get rid of that is, I want to change this. So noticing it, and when it does happen, challenging that thought. Could this not be true? Is there something different I could say to myself? Just those sorts of things.
It's huge because truly, having that person say that, I was hearing their voice. It was not mine. And so what she said is, it's so impactful. When you have those things come up, whose voice is it? Is it yours? Or is it someone else? And then, like Angie said, challenging that, because it's all about perception.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about perception and what we're seeing, other people aren't seeing. And I remember the first time that I told someone that, and they said they had never looked at my skin in a negative way at all. And this is someone that saw me every day. So challenging those perceptions, and like she said, is this true? Do I know with 100% certainty that this is true? And what is that exact opposite? What is that thought's exact opposite in speaking truth to yourself?
And maybe you do. Maybe that younger Sunny did believe with 100% certainty that her skin was not perfect, that your skin was not wonderful. And maybe you do believe that. But does that make it completely true? Maybe you do. Maybe you're like, yes, I 100% believe this. You're like, when I was younger, I was the same thing, but with size. And so every person in my world led me to believe that when you're young, you're healthy and active because you're a child and you run around and play. And as you get older, you get fat. That was the world I lived in. And that's what everyone was working on. I'm an 80s baby. So 80s and 90s and Jane Fonda and Richard Simmons. And I grew up with those workout videos everywhere. And I heard what they said. And I internalized all of these things about health and fitness. And at some point, I realized, I think I was probably in my late 20s, maybe around 28-ish, I realized anything that I want to happen in my life, in my body, I have control over. And in that moment, I was like, wait a second. I don't have to be any way that anyone else tells me to be. I can choose. I get to make the choice. And so I did. And so 85 plus pounds later that I've lost, I've made the choice that my body is going to be strong and healthy for the rest of my life. And it's going to be based on the decisions that I make every day. So you can choose to believe, and you can choose to believe something else.
We had a comment going back that said, as uncomfortable as it may be, pictures help too. Take a picture before and take pictures during your journey. Comparing your pictures, you'll notice the little changes you might not see in the mirror. So that's
good.
Going back to that. That's a really, really good option because we tend to focus on what's wrong and what's not instead of what actually is. So that's a great way to challenge that perception. So.
And if it doesn't feel good to take the picture and then don't look at it. Yeah. Just, you can actually, with iPhones, I don't know about every phone, but with an iPhone, you can take a picture and then you can go into your pictures and hide it. And so you won't see it, but you can find it later under your hidden album. And then go back a month from now, a year from now, and look at the picture. But I would recommend don't monitor your progress any closer than 30 days. Give yourself time to make the change. Give yourself time to implement these small things. And then if you are monitoring it closely and you are every single month taking a picture and going from there, don't be too hard on yourself. No. Acknowledge the little things that you're doing to grow and to change, and just let yourself know this is 1 month. Just 1 month. However old you are, maybe you're 25, you had 25 years of experience getting proficient at exactly the way you were living right then. And you've had 1 month of experience working on being a different version of yourself.
It's a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, so give yourself some room.
Sure. All right, next question. Someone?
Let's see. Did you have one, Angie, that you wanted to?
They're so good.
I know, they're all so great.
All the questions.
I'm going to jump to the last question, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Taking care of my body through exercise and a healthy diet can improve your body image. But when taken too far, such through crash dieting or excessive exercise, these behaviors may become harmful. How can you differentiate? I can't say that.
Differentiate.
Differentiate healthy and unhealthy diet and exercise.
Ooh, girl.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Now we're talking. That's our jam. You ready for this?
Speaking Lauren's love language right now.
Okay, so from a young age, with that mentality of everyone is going to get older and get larger, then I went and asked someone, so how do you lose weight? And they told me, my little 13-year-old self, they told me, well, you just burn more calories than you consume. So I said, Okay, simple math. If I eat 2 pieces of bread a day, that's like 300 calories. And if I go outside and run for a while, that's like 300 calories. So if I burn like 320 calories, there you go. I did it. So I stopped eating and I started working out a lot. And that is disordered. That is what you would consider an eating disorder. But that comes in so many different ways. Any eating disorder is any type of disordered eating. When food starts having the amount of control that you give it, instead of just being food, it's just food. Food is food is food is food. And it's made to fuel our bodies and allow your body to work in a way that helps you grow and heal and helps your brain work well and helps your hormones work well. Everything needs to work together. So when you feel like, oh, I can't do this because my diet doesn't say I can, or you feel controlled by this diet, that's something to look at. That is definitely something to take into account because it's just fuel. And it wasn't until much later when I learned how much energy your body uses doing nothing, how much energy it takes for your heart to pump your blood and your all of your body systems to work the way they need to. Even in a coma, it's lots of energy. Depending on your size, it could be close to 1,500, 1,800, 2,000 plus calories a day doing nothing, depending on what size you are and your age and your fitness level and all of that. And so if you are eating very, very, very little right now, or you're working out a lot to try and balance those things out, we're here for you. Or eating too much, because then I went from that to, binging.
Right.
So,
Extremes.
yes, extremes, exactly.
Lows and really extreme highs.
Mhm.
And so there's something in the middle there.
Absolutely.
And often that's why I'm even wary of dieting. It's like, can you just eat food that is real food?
Right.
Fruit, vegetables, and if you do eat meat, with maybe a little bit of grain.
If it grows in nature, don't eat the weird mushrooms, okay? But if it grows in nature, it was probably designed to go into our body. I say probably because there are some exceptions, okay? But apples, bananas, stuff that you're gonna find in a garden. Wheat grows in nature, but eat it as close to its natural source as you can. We don't want the bleached and enriched and highly processed, and then those cookies that came from a factory, those have wheat in them. Those are probably fine. It's different, okay? It's different.
Your relationship with food should be connection driven, not results driven. And I think that's where the issue, and I know that's the issue that I had when
Can you
I had.
elaborate on connection driven? What does that mean to you?
Your connection driven for me was, why am I doing this? I had an eating disorder, and it was because I was results driven. If I don't eat this, then I'll get the results that I want. I will be thin. I'll get to this point. When I say connection driven, what is the food meaning to you? Why am I choosing to not eat? It's not the food. Why am I making this decision? Am I doing this because I'm not good enough? Because I don't look good enough? Because I'm not skinny enough?
It's not a punishment.
It's not a punishment.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
tell my clients and my children that food is not a punishment and food is not a reward. It is just food.
That is the connection. Why? It goes back to my why. Why? Because you hear so often, I have to do this. All right, I have to go on a diet. Connection. Why do you have to? Go back to your why. Why am I doing this? Why do I have this thought around food? Why do I have this thought around my body? Making the decisions because I want to be healthy, because I choose to be healthy, because I know this is going to make me feel good. That's why. Or I'm choosing not to do this because I know it's going to make me feel bad. The connection there.
Will you share the story that you told me the other day about why you ate the oatmeal?
So I, I do a devotion every morning, and I was reading devotion, and it was really honing on the fact that our body is a temple. And, you know, I came from a uber religious background where it was, that meant everything physical, you know. But what this devotion was saying was internal, and how you take care of your body, mind, soul, and, you know, spirit. And so it was saying that, you know, with food, your body is a temple. So what you put into it matters. And not just feeding it garbage, but then on the flip side, not withholding from it as well. And I resonated with that because that was my past. And I thought, I do that a lot. I withhold. Even now, you know, I'll make it, I'm so busy, I'll skip breakfast. And so, you know, that morning I said, I need to eat something. I need to eat something. And so I went to the pantry, and I was like, I don't have a lot of time. What can I do? And I saw the oatmeal. I hate oatmeal, guys. A fun fact about me. I call it a bowl of sadness. Like, that's how I feel about, I hate oatmeal. And I was like, I'm going to do this. And so I kind of shared that with Lauren, and she was like, Lenny, you do know, you don't have to eat a bowl of sadness in the morning. She said, while you do need to eat, you know, it's
Fuel
good
is important.
but fuel is important too,
Yeah.
you know. And I was like, oh, that's very true. She said, I can whip up some eggs and throw some spinach in there in the amount of time that you fix that bowl of sadness. And I was like, that is a very valid point. So, you know, you make the good decisions, but feel them too. It is important. Like, get stuff that you like.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to do it if you're not resonating, if you're not connecting with it.
Absolutely.
Don't eat the bowl of sadness. Get a bowl that makes you happy, that makes you want to. Like, I made a good decision, good for me, rather than like.
And it was kind of both, because you were like, good for me, I made a good decision.
Yes.
You felt good that you had made that choice for yourself.
I did, but I did not want to get up the next morning and eat a bowl of sadness again.
So maybe just get rid of the oatmeal.
Get rid of the oatmeal. But, you know, understand that there is a connection there, and make the good decisions, but make sure that you resonate with them, and you're doing them for you. While other people might love a bowl of oatmeal,
For sure.
for me, I need something different. So if you don't, you know, if you fail to plan to fail.
Yeah.
So, you know, for me, making those decisions, getting myself, knowing that I'm only going to have this amount of time, so I'm going to have, you know, the frozen berries and that, I can throw them all, make a smoothie that morning, and take it and go. So,
If you need tips for fast, easy breakfast ideas, then I will start dropping some into this group. I've added a few recipes in this last week, but I've had a lot of people ask me recently about breakfast and how to do fast, easy, healthy breakfast. And so I will start putting some of those recipes in this group. So just keep an eye on that. How are we doing over there, Sonny? Do we have any other questions
good.
coming in? One of the things that I talk to my clients and my children about, I'm a mom, and so I'm always talking to my kids about nutrition as well, is my kids will come to me and they'll say, can I have this? So my period wanted M&Ms this week. Okay, I'm just saying, like, that is not something I would normally buy, but here we are, and I bought the M&Ms and brought them home, and my daughter said, can I have some of those M&Ms? And I said, why do you want the M&Ms? I said, are you sad? Are you trying to cover something up? Why do you want the M&Ms? She goes, because they taste good. I was like, sure, here, have some M&Ms. Because if we're not eating to cover something up, if we're not eating to hide, if we're not eating to punish ourselves, then it just becomes food.
Right. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
For sure.
This question, I feel, is pretty relative across the board with all ages, and said movies, social media, advertisements, and other forms of media. I think we're all influenced by that at some point. Have a major impact on body image. Although these sources often set unrealistic or impossible expectations, they are still impactful. What messages about body image are common in the media you consume?
it's so interesting to see how that's shifted over the course of our lifespans. You know, one of the things that we talked about in a class I taught a couple months ago was how body sizes and body shapes have come in and out of fashion over the course of history. And I think all of us got to experience the very unhealthy thin of the heroin chic era of the 90s. And that was rough. That was rough to live through. And
you were not supposed to have any shape at all.
If
For
you're
those that weren't 90s kids,
yes,
that weren't born in the 80s.
If your bones were showing, that was better. If you looked like your skin was kind of just stuck to your bones,
everything was
supposed
better. To hang.
It was not. It was It was not healthy. It wasn't healthy for our brains or our bodies. It wasn't healthy across the board, and that doesn't mean that some people aren't naturally that size and aren't naturally healthy in that way. But for the majority, that wasn't healthy. And I think that where we are now with social media is this this movement that's been going on with body positivity, which I think that there is a lot of good there. There's a lot of good there in accepting yourself where you are and loving yourself no matter what size you are. And I think that that is so fantastic. And I would encourage all of you to just embrace yourself no matter where you are, because you will never be able to hate yourself healthy. You will never be able to get there. I will say that wherever you are, there is room to grow. There's room to be healthier. And so embrace yourself where you are, love yourself where you are, and then recognize that once you do, that's the space to use to progress, to improve, to work on yourself. So embrace, but don't stagnate.
Society does not get to tell you what your worth is unless you give it permission to.
Preach.
So here's the deal. And this was told to me when I was in counseling, that what you're seeing is a perception of someone. You're seeing someone's highlight reel, or you're seeing someone's airbrush or someone's Photoshop. And because I had my issues before social media existed, because I'm that old. But I'm that seasoned. Very
experienced.
Very experienced. But I would stand in the grocery store line and I would see the magazines, and I would try to compare to the magazines, and it wasn't until I was made aware that what I was comparing to didn't exist. It wasn't real. And you cannot obtain that because it didn't exist. I was trying to get to a point that I was that, but that was unattainable. And I think especially for the young kids too, social media, you get a picture and then you get 500 different filters that you can put on it. And so we tend to forget when we're looking at it, or you're scrolling, or you're seeing it on television, that you're seeing something that's not real. And then it makes you feel bad. So you've given it permission, whatever you've seen, to make you feel bad. But they don't get to determine your worth. You determine your worth. And it's so important that you remind yourself every time that you're thinking that thought that comes in, you immediately remind yourself that, you know, you are worthy, that you matter, and your worth is not in your body. That's not where your worth lies. Not in what you look like, not in how skinny you are. It's in your purpose, in your gifts, why you're here, how you help others, what you're doing, you know, in this world. That is your worth. It's not this.
You're valuable just because you exist. That's all. One of the things that I've heard actually a couple times, trigger word for me over here, that we've used today is comparison. And comparison is the thief of joy. No matter how great you have it, no matter how amazing you are, if you start to compare, it will steal your joy. It will. You compare whatever you have to anyone else, and all of a sudden it's just not good enough anymore. It's just my new car isn't shiny anymore because that person has a shinier car, or I should have gotten that color nail polish, or why didn't I buy those pants? Doesn't matter. Just be present where you are with yourself, and keep the comparison over there where it belongs. There is this trend, speaking of social media, that has been going around for a little bit. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but it has starts out with someone sitting there saying, I was talking badly about myself, and then I remembered that I was also talking to him or to her. And then they showed pictures of themselves when they were a small child. And it's so true. It's true. Look at yourself when you were 5, or when you were 2, or when you were 10, or when you were 20. And whatever you're saying to yourself now, look at that child. Would you say it to them? Would you say those things to them? I don't think you would.
No.
I think you'd probably tell them, I'm so sorry. It's going to be okay. You're going to make it. You're going to get there. Look how great we are now. You know?
We so often build other people up. You know, we build up our friends, our families, our children, and we tear ourselves down.
Yeah.
And the truth is, you would not talk that way to the ones that you love. And you oftentimes do not let them talk that way to themselves. When you hear it, especially, you know, I'm also a coach for a middle school team, a volleyball team, and I hear them say a lot what they can't do. And I hear it, and I immediately stop them. You know, let's talk about that. But you hear it a lot. And so I know we hear things and we don't like it when those that we love say negative things about themselves. Why?
I've told my friend, I'm like, excuse me, that's my best friend you're talking about. No. No.
You're hearing
unacceptable.
Everything that you're saying, you're hearing as well. And it's very, very impactful. Very impactful. So be very cautious about your speech to yourself, because it matters. Really, really matters, especially in the form of body image. You know, what you're saying, what you're, you know, every time you make that, your body heard that, your mind heard that, and it's going to give you more of what you're feeding it. So the more that you're just tearing yourself apart, your brain is like, hey, she needs more of that. Let's point out what else is wrong.
Yeah.
And you're going to keep focusing on it.
On that same note, we become the sum of the 5 people we spend the most time with. And so if your inner circle, there's a lot of negativity, or a lot of encouraging to negative self-talk within that atmosphere, maybe it's time to branch out. Maybe it's time to look for some people who encourage you, who build you up, who leave you feeling really good. And if you need some ideas for where to find that community, we can help you with that too. You know, point you in the right direction. They're out there.
Yes.
You know, your local yoga class or gym or community center or church or whatever it is that speaks to you. You can find people that will leave you feeling better than when you showed up. I think we're getting kind of long.
Angie,
is there anything else you wanted to share before we finish up?
Yeah.
There is this sound right now that I actually heard on Instagram yesterday, and I saved it because it really spoke to me, and I wanted to share what it said today. And I wish that I could quote the author, and I'm sorry, I don't know who it is, and so you can tag them here if you know. But the sound is, when you were 12, you want a smaller tummy, less body hair, or thinner thighs. Anybody? Yes, I did, actually. When you were 16, you wanted a small waist, a bigger bottom, or a smaller nose. When you were 26, you wanted tighter skin, your teenage body back, and to be less wobbly. When you turn 30, you'll realize how cute you were at 26. I did. When you're 40, you'll ask yourself why you ever thought you weren't beautiful at 30. When you're 50, you'll just want your joint pain to go away. And when you're 80, you'll realize you regretted every time you ever looked at your body with dislike or disgust. You'll wish you could go back to your old body just for a day to swim, run, jump, and live. Be present with yourself now. Appreciate where you are now.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for joining. Listen, if you have any, like, this isn't the end. So if something that we've said has sparked something, or you'd like a little bit more information, or you'd like, help with that, reach out.
Yeah.
We're here. Like we said, there are 3 different sectors, and that's what Whole Life is. We want a place where you can come that's kind of a one-stop shop for your whole life health. So the whole wheel in all areas. And that's, holistically, that's what we're here for. We're trying to really let you understand just how powerful you are. What you think, what you say, what you do, your actions, they're either taking you this way, or they're taking you further. They're either holding you back or they're pushing you forward. So that's what we're here for. That's where our passions lie. So please, reach out. We'd love to connect with you, answer any questions that you have about anything that was said or whatever, it sparked. So Whole Life Vitality, thank you so much for spending your Saturday morning with us. And we will see you next time.
Thank you.